Welcome to the Fear and Greed Business Interview. I'm Adam Lang. In this increasingly digital world, the exact nature of the cyber risk facing businesses is changing almost every day. The constant emergence of new threats puts a lot of pressure on businesses, not just to respond, but to communicate the nature of the threat to stakeholders within a company. But they have to communicate it in a way that shows the operational and financial risk and secures the buy-in of boards, executives, and their teams, and that is critical, and that's where my guest today comes in. Sam Salehi is the Managing Director, Australia-New Zealand at Qualys, a supporter of this podcast. That's Qualys, Qualys. He joins me in the studio. Sam, welcome to Fear and Greed.
Thanks for having me, Adam.
Sam, we were just talking before, and you have great field experience in the cybersecurity industry. Moore's Law describes the trend in the semiconductor industry where the number of transistors in a microchip roughly doubles every 2 years, and that means that the processing power of computers should also roughly double in the same time frame. Give us a snapshot of the current cyber risk environment. The phrase attack surface is being used pretty broadly these days. Do you think that is increasing?
I think that let's look at attack surface in a different way. What I see in the market is a lot of different vendors talk about attack surface is increasing, which is correct. You know, there is a lot of companies that they're doing digital transformation, so they move stuff in the cloud, which opens up a different attack surface. But I'd like to use the word risk surface, because imagine that in the room we are standing now, you have got an open window, right? That is definitely an attack surface for someone to come in.
Sure.
But what if there's nothing here for them to steal, right? There is no risk. So I think I like to use the word risk surface rather than attack surface, and that's definitely increasing.
All right, let's stick with that, risk surface. What are the biggest threats Australian businesses are facing now? What's that risk surface looking like?
I think there are, in my view, 4 top risks that we are facing in Australia. It is the number one is the ransomware attacks that I see. It is still happening, and unfortunately, they are increasing. Definitely, I do see a lot of business email compromises happening. You know, email is still the number one attack vector that people can get in. Supply chain attacks are the other one that the bad actors look at finding a low-hanging fruit in one of your suppliers, you know, something that they can get in and then escalate their privileges to get access to your company. And also state sponsorship attacks when other countries have interest in taking our information.
Right. So those 4 risks are pertinent and great themes. Why is it still so difficult for businesses to translate cyber risk into something that the C-suite can act on? Because of all those risks that you hear, now what do I do? Whether I'm in a board position, a C-suite executive, or just a team member position, what do I do and to keep involved with these, risk protections against that evolving threat?
I think one of the fundamental issues in my view is we are not talking the same language. So I ask you a question. How many love languages do you have?
Love languages. My wife would accuse me of having very few, but I reckon 4 or 5.
5.
No.
But there's only one language for risk,
Okay.
and that's money, right? The issue we are facing is we are struggling to do risk quantification in our business. So a lot of my peers, a lot of people in the cybersecurity, they just treat cybersecurity as a technical issue.
Okay.
Cybersecurity, in my view, is a risk mitigation function in your business, right?
It's an everybody
so it's
issue,
risk
right?
management. And the focus should be having everyone together to speak the same language. And that's the language of risk, which is money.
Okay. Good one. Money's the one. So what are the consequences when cyber risks are framed only in those technical terms without linking them to an operational or a financial impact? What do you see companies doing well and not well in that regard?
In my view, it's actually a little bit broader than that. I think we need to connect them with business context.
Okay.
Again, when I look at it, when you're looking at your business and there's cyber threats everywhere, right? So we talk about risk surface is evolving. What we need to do is we need to tie them back into the business context. So if an exposure you have in one of your business unit, which is a testing center, is very different from that exposure if that particular business unit is generating $10 billion for your business. So it's important that everyone is talking about the same language, and also we are having that business context in the back of our mind. Otherwise, what's going to happen is you're spending a lot of money building dashboards and dashboards on top of each other and have your top 10 tools with top 10 issues, but you're not actually solving the problem for your business because all the focus is on the technology, not the connection with the business.
So on that theme, and despite the growing cyber threat landscape, cybersecurity can still be siloed. What do you think is getting in the way? What are the obstacles for having it fully embedded by every part of the business, from the business strategy through to every role in the business? Language is part that you mentioned. What else?
I think we have to break these silos. Definitely cybersecurity is something that people in the security space pay a lot of attention to, but the collaboration with IT, because I'll give you an example. One of the main products that we take to market when it comes to Qualys is our vulnerability management program, right? So we help our customers with visibility, but no one gets points for the visibility. You get point when you do remediation, right? So, and that remediation often comes from the IT team. And that breakage, which is currently between IT and security, is not helping the business, because at the end of the day, I can tell you that you've got 10 open windows in your house.
Yeah.
If you don't close them, they will get in eventually. So we need to have IT and security collaborating to make sure that we are fixing the issue. We are not just bringing visibility to our exec.
So in terms of those execs, we sometimes hear of chief information security officers. There's other roles, I'm sure, and other descriptors. How are you seeing them change the way that they talk in businesses to get the buy-in for these threat mitigants?
So when I talk to my CISO community, the chief information security officers that I do deal with them on a daily basis, the number one challenge is still getting budget. They're struggling to convince the exec boards to give them budget. And I think the reason for that is we're not showing them the risk quantification in the way we have to show them. So you typically go and say, hey, I want to buy this amazing tool that is going to do these 5 functions for us, which is not talking about the business language, right? So we are talking about technical stuff with non-technical people. And the question you're often going to receive from your CFO or your board is, okay, so you're going to spend $1 million buying this tool. Are we going to be 5 times faster, safer, or 2 times safer? So to answer that question, that's where you need to bring everyone on a journey. Like my recommendation is you need to start with what we call it value at risk. What does your business stand to lose if that particular machine is interrupted? And in order to answer that question, you need your CFO, you need your board of directors, you need your CEO to come together. It's not a security decision. They need to tell me, what are the building blocks for my business? Okay, we have this business unit with a revenue of 5 billion, or we have this other business unit with a revenue of 2 million. Understand the assets within those businesses. So when something happens, we know what impact it has on our business, rather than just looking at the technicality around a breach. What is it being impacted has also an impact on the way you manage those incidents.
That value at risk, I really like that. Stay with me, Sam. We'll be back in a minute. My guest this morning is Sam Salehi from Qualys. Sam, we started to talk before the break a bit about the value at risk. Are you seeing that Chief Information Security Officer and risk roles, are they evolving into more of a business strategy sort of role than just risk?
100%. And I think that's the way to go. Security has to be blended with business. And a chief information security officer role, in my view, should be that bridge between the technical risk and the business risk, and help the business to understand what are we going to lose if that particular machine or server or device is down. What is the impact on my business financially? Because at the end of the day, the risk management function is to reduce the financial impact on your business. As long as we don't bring them together, remember we talk about the risk language, which is money. So we got to quantify this and show them that if we don't take these actions, if we don't do these 5 things, there is a likelihood of us losing $2 million per day.
Yeah.
Can I have $200,000 to reduce and mitigate this risk, and maybe another $50,000 to buy cyber insurance to cover the rest.
Sam, I've been involved in situations where literally everyone's computer shut down, and it's a shock when it happens. And recovering from those situations, it's hard to know how valuable that is until you're actually protected from it, and without going through it. Are you seeing these instances still happening where people just suffer from not protecting themselves adequately?
100%. And on the other side, I see that there's more and more board of directors and C-levels that they're getting involved in what we call it cyber risk simulation exercises. You do incident response, mock, get someone in to come and help you pretend that you're breached. How do you respond? Because what I see in the market is a lot of the companies I deal with, they also have an incident response plan for those really rare scenarios that you're hit by ransomware or you lose access to everything you have. But because you're not practicing that on a daily basis or a weekly basis or monthly basis, when it happens, it takes time for you to go back and realize that these are the steps we need to take to bring our systems back.
I can imagine that scenario testing is very powerful, putting teams under pressure to get prepared. So apart from that, how are you seeing Australian companies become more proactive towards cyber risk management? Are people still being too reactive, or are you seeing some companies really take the lead on that front?
I think there are a couple of big breaches we had in the past,
Medicare,
in the
Optus, etc.
100% really helped to bring cybersecurity front of mind for a lot of C-levels, right? That really helps for people to start thinking proactively. I'm sure you heard a lot about the concept of a SOC, which is a Security Operations Center. This is an after a breach type investigation, people, process, and technology that you can go and find a needle in a haystack, right? What we're suggesting and what I'm seeing in the market is people are going down a path of being more proactive by deploying operationalized platforms like a ROC or a Risk Operations Center.
Okay. Let's talk about blind spots. What are you seeing as the most common blind spots in industry at the moment, Sam?
Misconfiguration.
Okay.
I think that's the number one blind spot we have in cybersecurity. Whether it's done by mistake or someone maliciously done something, misconfiguration is by far something that it's blind spot at this industry.
Misconfiguration. Okay, I'm learning a lot here. What does good cyber governance look like to you, Sam, from a boardroom perspective or from the outside looking in at a company? When you see these things, these criteria, a good setup, what does that look like to you?
In my view, if you have got a proper dynamic risk management platform, not only just for your cybersecurity, for your entire IT, that would be really helpful. So a lot of the companies that I'm talking to these days, they're very receptive to the concept of having a risk management framework to help them, first of all, identify all the risk and have a remediation plan, and then report that back up to the C-levels for their visibility and support as well.
Sam, that's been really informative. Thank you very much for talking to Fear and Greed.
Thanks for your time.
That was Sam Salehi, Managing Director, Australia New Zealand at Qualys. That's Qualys, a supporter of this podcast. This is the Fear and Greed Business Interview. Remember, this is general information only, and you should seek professional advice before making investment decisions. Join us every morning for the full Fear and Greed episode. Business news you can use. I'm Adam Lang. Enjoy your day.